You probably noticed it first on the stairs. Not pain exactly, just a faint hesitation, a split second where your legs felt less certain than they used to. Then maybe you noticed it standing up from the sofa, or walking across a parking lot, or simply crossing the room in the morning before your body had fully woken up. Your legs felt a little hollower than they did last year, a little less reliable, and here is the part that most people do not realize until it is pointed out to them. This is not happening slowly. Research published in the Journal of Gerontology is very specific about this. After the age of 60, untreated muscle loss in the legs accelerates at a rate of up to 3 to 5% every single year. That means every week you go without directly addressing it. The gap between where your legs are now and where they need to be gets measurably wider. This is not a vague warning about aging. This is a specific biological process with a name, sarcopenia, and it has a very specific solution. The reason most people miss this until it becomes a serious problem is that the early warning signs are easy to explain away. A little more fatigue on the stairs feels like a bad day. Needing to hold the railing feels like being sensible. Sitting down more than you used to feels like resting. But underneath all of those easy explanations, something very specific is happening inside your leg muscles, the motor units. The bundles of nerve fibers and muscle fibers that generate movement are dropping out. When a motor unit goes inactive from lack of sufficient loading, the brain stops sending signals to it, and once the brain stops signaling it, the muscle fibers attached to it begin to atrophy. What makes this particularly dangerous is that the first motor units to drop out are the fast twitch fibers. These are the ones responsible for quick, reactive movements, the ones that catch you when you stumble, the ones that let you step over an unexpected obstacle. Losing them does not just make your legs feel weaker, it fundamentally changes your relationship with gravity. Let us go one level deeper into this fast twitch fiber loss, because understanding it changes how seriously you take the solution. Fast twitch muscle fibers are not just about speed or athleticism. In everyday life after 60, they are the fibers that fire in the first fraction of a second when your foot catches on a rug, when a step is higher than you expected, or when you shift your weight suddenly while reaching for something on a shelf. They are the biological difference between a stumble that self-corrects in half a second and a stumble that becomes a fall. The cruel irony is that fast twitch fibers are the first to atrophy when the legs are not sufficiently loaded, and they are also the hardest to reactivate once lost. This is why the type of stimulus matters enormously. Not all leg exercise sends the right signal to fast twitch fibers. Gentle walks and slow stretches simply do not generate enough recruitment force to reach them. Only high-effort, maximum voluntary contraction movements, even when performed seated and safely, can issue the reactivation signal these fibers need. Before we get into the exercise that directly reverses this process, I want to ask you something. Take a moment and leave a comment below telling me, which leg feels weaker to you right now, your left or your right? Almost everyone has an answer to this, and I want to see how many of you have already started noticing the difference. And if this is the first video of ours you have found, please subscribe, because we cover exactly this kind of targeted, science-backed approach to senior fitness every single week. So what is the one chair exercise that sends a direct, powerful reactivation signal to those dormant motor units? It begins reversing weekly leg weakness without requiring you to stand, balance, or use any equipment. It is called the seated leg press pulse, and it works through a principle that most conventional exercise advice for seniors completely misses. Here is exactly how to perform it. Sit all the way back in a sturdy chair so your lower back is fully supported by the backrest. Place both feet flat on the floor, hip width apart. Now take your attention to your right foot and press it firmly and deliberately down into the floor, as hard as you possibly can, as if you are trying to push the floor away from you through sheer muscular force. You are not lifting anything. You are not standing up. You are simply creating maximum downward pressure through the heel and the ball of the foot simultaneously. Hold this maximum press for 5 full seconds, breathing normally throughout. Then release completely, let the leg rest for 3 seconds, and repeat. Perform 8 to 10 repetitions on the right leg, then switch to the left, and repeat the exact same sequence. That is 1 full set. Aim for 2 to 3 sets, resting for 30 seconds between each one. There will be an immediate and very specific physical sensation when you do this correctly. The front of the thigh, the quadriceps, will tighten intensely, almost like a fist closing inside the muscle. The glute on that same side will engage deeply. And if you have been relatively inactive, you may feel a slight tremble in the muscle during the hold. That tremble is not a sign of weakness to be alarmed by. It is the nervous system scrambling to recruit motor units it has not called upon in some time. It is, in the most literal biological sense, your leg waking back up. Now let us understand exactly why this specific movement is so effective, because there are three distinct mechanisms happening simultaneously that no simple walking routine or gentle stretch can replicate. The first is motor unit reactivation. When you press your foot into the floor with maximum voluntary effort while remaining seated, you are issuing the strongest possible recruitment signal from your brain to your leg muscles, without any of the balance demands or joint loading risks that come with standing exercises. The brain does not distinguish between pressing a foot into a floor and pushing off a stair step. The motor unit recruitment signal is virtually identical. This means you are training the exact neural pathways responsible for functional leg strength in a completely controlled, fall-safe environment. The second mechanism is what exercise physiologists call time under tension. Most daily movements, walking, shifting in a chair, standing briefly, are over in a fraction of a second. The muscles contract and release so quickly that the weaker, slower motor units barely have to engage at all. By holding the press for 5 full seconds, you are forcing every available motor unit to sustain their contraction long enough to generate a genuine adaptive response. Research consistently shows that sustained isometric contractions of 4 seconds or longer produce significantly greater strength gains in older adults, particularly in the fast-twitch fiber population that is most at risk of dropout. The third mechanism is joint protection. One of the reasons many older adults unconsciously stop using their legs as vigorously is pain. Knee pain, hip discomfort, or simply the vague sense that pushing harder will cause damage. The seated leg press pulse removes this barrier entirely. Because the knee remains stationary throughout the movement, there is zero shearing force across the joint surface. The cartilage is not being compressed and ground. The ligaments are not being stretched under load. Yet the muscles surrounding the knee, the quadriceps, the hamstrings, the inner thigh stabilizers, are working at near maximum capacity. This is the clinical definition of a closed kinetic chain isometric exercise, and it is precisely why orthopedic specialists use variations of this movement in post-surgical rehabilitation. All the muscle stimulus, none of the joint risk. Before moving to the progression, let us address the two most common form mistakes that reduce this exercise's effectiveness. The first is pressing too lightly. This is the most frequent error, and it happens because the movement feels deceptively small. Pressing at 50 or 60% of your maximum effort will not generate the recruitment signal needed to reach fast-twitch fibers. The press must be genuinely maximal, as hard as you can physically push. If you are not feeling intense quadriceps tightening within the first 2 seconds, press harder. The second mistake is holding the breath during the press. This raises blood pressure unnecessarily and reduces the quality of the muscular contraction. Breathe in before the press, exhale slowly and steadily throughout the 5-second hold, and inhale again during the 3-second rest. This breathing rhythm keeps the effort sustainable and the contraction clean across all repetitions. Once the basic version of this exercise becomes comfortable, typically after 2 to 3 weeks, here is a simple progression. During the 5-second press, rather than pressing both the heel and ball of the foot evenly, shift your focus to pressing exclusively through your heel. This small adjustment changes the angle of force through the hip joint and dramatically increases the recruitment demand on the gluteus maximus. The gluteus maximus is the single most important muscle for fall prevention and functional independence in older adults. You will feel the difference immediately in the depth of the glute engagement. Master the basic version first. Then introduce this heel focus variation as your strength improves. For your weekly routine, perform this exercise every other day. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday works well for most people. 2 sets per session is the correct starting point. After 2 to 3 weeks, add a third set. After 4 to 6 weeks, Begin extending the hold from 5 seconds to 7, and eventually to 10 seconds as your strength and endurance build. Keep a simple log, even just a note on your phone, tracking how many sets you completed and whether the hold felt easier than the week before. Strength gains in older adults are real, measurable, and often faster than people expect once the correct stimulus is applied consistently. Your legs are not simply getting older. They are getting a weaker signal. This exercise restores that signal directly, safely, and without a single piece of equipment or a single moment of standing balance risk. Start today with 2 sets, 8 repetitions per leg, and 5-second holds. Come back to this video in 3 weeks and notice the difference in how certain your legs feel underneath you. That certainty is not luck. It is biology responding exactly the way it is designed to when you give it the right input.